let me say, there are some major events that has happened, and from what I could see, all of those events to a certain extent have either their origin or their support system in here. The Swedish election of 2018 was held on September 9th, 2018. The supervisor forwarded my thesis to examination on the 5th of August 2018. On the 14th of August 2018, I received a reply from the supervisor telling me that she will be correcting my thesis next week, and adding few words. On September 11th, 2018, she has said, I will do my job like I have done with all other students. 2 days after the elections, and she is a foreigner. She is from a foreign country. 19 days later, on September 28th, 2018, she had mentioned that my thesis is at the level of she had need to forward my thesis to the disciplinary board or something like that, and she did. I could see the electoral situation in Sweden, and he was re-elected the prime minister after like a parliamentary vote on January 18th, 2019. Meaning like the process of the disciplinary board, as well as the decisions from the first court of Sweden, förvaltningsrätten i Linköping, was during the period of time when there was no sitting prime minister in Sweden. And I'm seeing in here the vote of no confidence was on the 25th of September 2018, meaning 3 days after the examiner decided to behave the way she behaved. Then there was going to be a moderate prime minister. Then there was like an agreement on the 14th of December. Then later on, until 18th of January, when the prime minister was elected, and this has been spurred by people who are immigrants to Sweden, and in this case, Tunisian, which has a high interest in having like zoom into the situation in Algeria and or in North Africa, and that has an effect of destabilization, or it had like an earthquake effect basically. And you could see, we don't know who are behind these people, who is like the thinking of all of these events, but apparently they're extremely dangerous, and they had this rare opportunity for the world to see them. And what we have seen is that there's somehow of a police unconsciousness. That's the situation, a police unconsciousness. And we have seen Canada, the country is like split between two political parties, West and East. The United Nations Security Council of the United States She held 2-year term instead of 4. Uh, Later on, we could see the situation in Sweden, as I highlighted, more to the situation in Europe, meaning like it's like the world in 2018 and 2019 has been significantly affected by an electronic breach. And remember what I said in the past about someone from this area in late 2017 leaving to the United States after I made the ICC paperwork, which had skills in electronic access to property. Meaning this is an organized group of or an organized militia attacking other countries, and we are held here not as hostages but as a way of an unlawful criminal restraints in order to retrieve our money or retrieve our resources. And they do it purposefully, meaning that they do not work to acquire the resources as a love of nation, but they do that as a way to meaning like they're building a building which is structurally strong, but when they move to the apartments, they are structurally weak. However, because I'm broadcasting this to people who have an interest, meaning like a previous judiciary and a previous diplomat, uh, I met with him 8 times. The 9th time, I was told use paperwork, meaning like he's busy, so use paperwork. And this is a blunder that happened from few police officers in here. Just in the last trimester of 2017 and 2018, I did mention the situation about the president of Interpol during 2018, who is no longer the president of Interpol according to the news. And we are in this situation which is, yes, meaning like a group of youth under the age of 35. They went into situation in this area of the world, and both males and females, and basically is like the word in Arabic is like tashattut aqli, and basically this is like a mental distortion of this youth, which has led to this catastrophe, basically, or which has led to this disaster. And I did approach the 3rd floor of the organization police, and there is the chief who is sitting there, who is like of a brown color. And I went to the foreigner office. There is someone who looks like a Russian, and as well is way more. And I've spoken with these individuals. They are an entity in there. They are supposed to solve a case and return the property to its owner. And they failed to do so. And to my estimate, it's under the influence of paranoia and bad judgment. And I am in here. It's not like I'm scared, but I received their first warning in 2016. And the best option is like to highlight this fact is that it is embedded in our constitutions and in our country that we do not deal with security forces or military forces of countries that we had war with. This involved the Third Reich and France. And the situation is that the Secretary General of Interpol is German, and what we have seen is that the disturbance and the problems are generated by Germans or by Germany, meaning like the country of Germany, not the European Union, but the country of Germany. Myself, because I apply this policy, I do not have any invested interest in France and Germany. I don't have anything with them. I don't have any relationship with them, and I have with probably like by a certain extent 10 other countries in Europe or 12 other countries in Europe. Now, on May 23rd, 2019, Austria has signed the CETA agreement. I visited the Austrian embassy in April 2019, and I have to tell everyone and to tell people is that, well, as you can see, I brought it in here just to remind everyone that I still had received all of those things. This is because I had a problem with parcels. This is my parcel to the European Council. And I made several copies of it. And remember, I am an individual who went to Europe or who went to Sweden when Barroso was still the president of the European Commission, while the foreign minister of Sweden, who was the former prime minister, was still in office. It was during the time when NATO was under the presidency, or the Secretary General of NATO was Danish. Basically, it was a period of time that if you were selected, or it was a period of time when there was like those highly qualified politicians, highly qualified policymakers, and highly qualified male and females, and before the refugee crisis in 2015, and before all of that, it would have been considered like a whale, not how to say. Yes, it's like being picked up like quite like candidly. However, I do admit that the situation was literally hellish from the first day. Thieves, spies, people who do electronic breaches, paranoid people. It was like, and basically, if I did get contracts or people try to approach me to work on engineering skills, well, they failed in that endeavor. And I went back in here in 2017, and the situation is astonishingly bad. However, I tried to meet him in the ninth time, just to make sure that he will be like basically moving the case or the situation or the evidence, not moving the case like the case, because there is no evidence, moving the case to the appropriate hands. And as I succeeded with my graduation certificate to Sweden, and with my A7 resident permit of Austria to the Austrian Justice Ministry, because we have individuals in here who have no comprehension of the law. They are like mafia, basically. There's like the police officers in here, and basically, to what I could deduce is like they are strengthening the presence of individuals who commit robberies as well as a lot more, and apparently they are people who have committed crimes labeled as Nazism, and as we said, uh, it is reaching a consensus that we will not cooperate as a country, that we will not be cooperating with security or military entity which we had war with, and this is the case in here. That's why we are having like so much trouble in this country since 2015 or 2016, and it is like a good conclusion to reach, like to have both the army and the green uniform in here, and foreign partnership with people that we deal with the most, meaning like in Italy, probably either the Italian police or the Ministry of Finance or the Ministry of Economy of Italy, and probably Spanish police or Spaniards, basically, because it's a standard policy that, yes, because otherwise we are reaching the point that we are having theft of our natural resources by foreigners disguised as police officers, and it's a standard policy, and they are working, meaning like we do not collaborate with individuals who work with an entity that we had a historic dispute with. We're not in NATO. We're not in those. We don't have base. We don't have foreign bases. We have diplomatic alliances with other countries surrounding us, and it has reached the point to be like an executive decision, and we probably have, as we could see and as I could deduce, we have a president with Japanese papers,